Welcome to UC Collaboration, a global name in unified communication, formerly VoiceBootcamp. Hello, my name is Faisal Khan, CEO and founder of UC Collaboration. In this particular video, I'm going to show you how to create a basic script. So the objective of this particular chapter is to learn how to start a blank script or a script from a template, describe the steps that are used for starting and ending a script, and of course, describe the basic step required to play a message to a caller. Starting a new script requires you to open the Cisco Unified UCCX editor and then go to File menu and click on New. Now you have options to start a script from a basic blank script, or you can open a script based on a template. And the templates options available are, for example, IVR, queuing, VRU, and voice browsers. Every script that you open has to start with a start and end. Now immediately when you click on New Script, it will start with the start and end steps. Now the start steps is not on the script palette, so therefore you cannot add, remove, delete start options. The only way to add start is to create a new script. Whereas every script can have more than one end steps. For example, there are cases where you may need to end a script early, for example. In that case, you can drag and drop and end steps into that logic. Once the call has been script has been started, then you have options to accept and terminate a call. Now the accept steps cause a call setup process to be completed. At this stage, what's going to happen is when the call hits the accept steps, Contact Center Express will notify the call manager to complete the call. That's when the call manager will then notify either the end gateway or the call to communicate with Contact Center Express directly. Terminate, on the other hand, does exactly what it says, terminate an end call. Every program, whether it's a Contact Center Express script or a C++ or any general program, you often have to, you'll see a comments or documentation in the program describing what the function does. In Contact Center Express, it is also useful to provide documentation or comments to help you design your script, for example. We provide comment or document using annotate state. Annotate functions is available within the most steps. Every steps can have its own comments and functions. So annotate steps does not affect your logic because these are just for basic documentation purpose, and does not count as executed steps. Could be used as a breakpoint for debugging, meaning that you can start debugging from that particular comment onward. So to show you an example, I will start with my script editors, and then I have options to click on New right here, which open a script with the start and end, or I can go to File menu and click on New. The different is that when you go to File menu and click on New, you are given options the template to begin with. So you get the blank script, which is a template itself. You get the IVR, queuing, VRU, voice browser. So if you are creating an application or script that is related to an IVR, you may want to start with auto attendant script or spoken name upload script. So here's an example of general script. Same as when you click on the toolbar, you got the start and end. So if you want to provide a description at this stage, I will drag the annotate right here, and I can go to the properties, and I'm going to say this is my first UCCX script. So click OK. So now at this stage, after defining a documentation, I can have the options to accept the call. So I go to Contact palette and then go to Accept and drag and drop right here. So this will advise the call manager to complete the call. And after this, if I go to right click properties, so you notice that this step does not have much options. However, you have the options to provide comment there as well. This is where call process will complete, and I can put a little label if I want to. Start of accepting calls. So if I click on, so the difference is that this is going to be label and this is going to be the comment for that particular steps. Again, this is purely for description and documentation purposes. Play prompt steps is used when you want to play a prompt music file back to the caller. So when a customer calls in and you want to play a welcome prompt, you can use a play prompt. Now, play prompt is used to play an audio file to the caller. Play prompt can be a prompt or string data variable which must point to a web file. Now, the prompt can be a result of a static file pointing to a music file. It could be a result from a concatenated prompt where you could have multiple audio file kind of a joined together. It can be from a container, conditional prompt, or from text to speech. So a list of prompts can be played at the same time as well. So an example here, after the accept, if I want to play a welcome prompt, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the media palette because it's something to do with the audio. I'm going to select the play prompt and trigger it right here. So at this stage I need to play something. So what am I going to play? So if I go to right click, properties, and like I said, I have few options. If I want the users to be able to interrupt the prompt, I can say yes or no. If I want to define the name of the prompt, so you can define the name of the prompt from a variable or from by typing syntax that will point to a system file. For example, if I want to play a folder called ICD, and underneath that I have this file called ICD welcome, and I want to be able to play that file, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say SP stands for system prompt square bracket, and I'm going to say go to the folder called ICD /ICD welcome .wav. Now this is the file right here, as you can see, ICD welcome .wav, and then I will of course close this prompt. I have the options to barge in, to call, continue. If there is an error, I'll continue to play the prompt. Input, flash the input buffer. So if there is any previous input in the buffer, we'll just simply clear it off. In the comment, I can define a comment saying this will play the welcome message, and then I can define a label. Welcome prompt starts here. So click OK. So now I have a little bit of description, I have a little label, again for documentation purpose. Then I play the prompt that will say welcome, play whatever the message saying under the welcome web, ICD welcome.wav. And after playing the prompt, then I can take the subsequent steps. Now the next step we're going to talk about is called get call contact info steps. Used to pull system call contact info into script. So for example, if you want to collect the caller ID and then take necessary action based on that caller ID, I can use the get call contact info to collect the caller ID, store that information into variable, and then take continue to function execute my script based on further logic. So the values from the system that are then pushed into a variable which can be used in the later case. So an example, if I were to, after playing the prompt, I'm going to, the goal is that I want to collect the caller ID. So when I want to collect the caller ID, I need to hold the caller ID to a location, and that's called variable. So on this variable pane on the bottom left corner, you see variable. Click on new variable, and what it's going to do is going to open a little window that says new variable. So here I'm going to say what kind of variable am I going to collect. Well, I'm going to collect caller ID, phone numbers, which is kind of form of a string. So I'm going to say string name calling caller ID, and then I'm going to put a variable. Of course I don't know the value right now because I'm going to put the value in there, so I'm going to leave the value as a blank and click OK. So now I will get, now under call contact, you have anything related to the call. So I'm going to say get call contact info, drag this right after the play prompt, and I'm going to say that go to properties. I'm going to collect the calling number, which is a caller ID, and I'm going to store that information part of the caller ID. Now remember, how does the contact center knows of the calling number? Because call manager present that information as part of the message to the contact center express. So the contact center express already has that information, or the gateway does, whoever the call is, wherever the call is coming from. So it's going to collect the calling number, and it's going to store it into the value called caller ID. Fair enough. I can put a label, say collect caller ID info, and then put a comment. This step is used to collect caller ID and store that information into a variable called caller ID. Again, a little bit of information for someone else who's going to probably either support this script or going to review this. So click on OK. Again, you don't want to put too much documentation, then your script may end up looking more like a documentation than the script itself. But I got the caller ID information. Now I can make a logical steps where I can say if the caller ID is this, do this. If the caller ID is that, do that. So let's give an example. My caller ID right now is my phone is called 1000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an if then else statement, and I'm going to say if go to properties, if caller ID, well, make a little bit of conditional. I'm going to choose a variable caller ID equal to 1000. So if the caller is equal to 1000, then I'm going to take one is the values, the logic is going to be true, and I'm going to take certain steps. If the caller is equal anything other than 1000, there's going to be false. So then I can say, so an example could be, if it is true, I'm going to call a different extension. So let's say call redirect. I'll cover these steps later. So if the caller ID is equal to 1000, that means if I call from my extension, if it is true, then I'm going to call let's say extension 2000. This is just an example. But if it is false, meaning that if the call came from somewhere else, then I'm going to end this script. So it's a very simple logic that call comes in, play the prompt, or ask play the prompt to the tell the caller the welcome message, collect the caller ID using the get call contact info, do a check, do a variable check. If the caller ID is equal to 1000, call redirect means call extension 2000. If it is false, end the script. So it's very simple logic. You can validate that by going to tools, go to validate. You notice the script validation is successful. That means there is no syntax errors. Again, a script validation cannot confirm logic errors. I mean, if I'm trying to say, well, caller ID, if the call comes from 1000, send it to 2000, where I meant to send it to 3000, well, contact center does not understand that. So that's how you would go about using the get call contact info to collect as much as details. Again, if you go to properties of that, it doesn't have to be calling number. It could be call number, could be arrival type, could be the last number call redirected. It could be the original call number or the original dial number. So anyway, multiple options that you have. A delay step in a script could be used to pause a delay. For example, if your call goes to a loop where you want to play a music, and then after playing the music you want to delay the call for X number of seconds before next step take place. Well, in that case, delay steps could be used. Most often used in a queue loop of an ACD script. You can use a decimal value of numbers such as 2 seconds, 1.25 seconds. The value could be integer or decimal values, or it could be even variable. You can also use a format like DP, for example, where XXX represent integer in milliseconds. So here in my script, after playing the prompt, I can say delay, drag the delay step right after the welcome message, and I'm going to say wait 5 seconds before you get the caller ID. Now you can say wait 5 seconds. I can create a variable. Let's say right here I'm going to create a variable which could be integer, and I'm going to say wait, and I'm going to say the value is going to be 10 seconds. So now I got wait as a variable with a value called 10, and in delay, instead of putting a number, I'm going to select the variable called wait. So what's going to happen is it gives me a little bit more flexibility is to change the value of wait on the fly throughout the scripts. So play the welcome message, wait 10 seconds, collect the caller ID, make a decision, and then redirect the call to appropriate locations. So delay steps could be often used in a case where you may need to pause, play a music, maybe hold the call until an agent becomes available, and so and so. So that's pretty much it for this particular modules. The summary of this is that to start a new script using the editor menu or toolbar, you can create a script either from a blank script or from a template. So if I were to go here and I say new script, and I'm gonna say use auto attendant, and what's gonna do is gonna give me a series of existing template. That means all you have to do is modify it now. So maybe 99% of the work has been done. You just have to customize it to fulfill your needs. Or you can create a basic script from scratch and kind of put whatever information you need as opposed to what is included in the predefined parameters, for example. Concept of starting a script, again, accepting a calls or separate concept. You can start the start steps, which will start the execution of a script and initialize variable, but accept steps will be used to answer the call. The start steps does not mean it's going to answer the call. All it's going to do is continue to, let's say, initialize. So if I were to go look at my script, see right here where it says steps, I could do a lot of things. I can drag and drop, sorry, decrement. I can go make a lot of if then else statement. I can make a session. So various information can be started right after the start and then accept the call. So what happened is after the start, which will initialize it, then comes the accept, which is the start of the call. So keep in mind they're not the two same thing. Start step does not mean it's going to answer the call. It basically means initialize the script. Terminate steps will disconnect the call, not necessarily disconnect the script. The end step requires to terminate the script itself. So if I want to, let's say, after the false, I'm going to say terminate. So if I go and click on if it's false, terminate the script. That does not mean that is the end of the call. A script. It basically says end of the call. So now after terminating the call, I can continue to do more stuff, like say more get sessions, for example, if I want to. So the whole idea behind it is that you can start a script, take some steps before you accept the call or start the call. Then you can terminate the call and take further steps before you can terminate the scripts or end the script. And play prompt, which is part of media steps, are used to play an existing prompt. Play prompt step may also be used to play a list of prompt if prompt data type variables are used. So to finalize, I'm going to clean up my last few steps that I just did and I'm going to test the call. So let's just get rid of that extra stuff that I put in there. So now, before I save this, I'm going to do a tool validate. Fair enough. Everything looks good. I'm going to save. And I'm going to call this new script. And I'm going to save it right on the repository. Now that my script has been saved, I'm going to go to the script application. I may have to log in. As you can see, my script is there. I'm going to see if I can add a second phone. Just give me 1 second. Now I do have phone registered, but they're physical phones, so I will not be able to see them, but I can obviously send calls to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open one of these phones. And as you can see, the call redirect means send the calls to 2000. So I'm going to change the extension of one of the phone to 2000. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just make a call to test. So new call 2000. The phone might be resetting. So you can see I can dial the extension 2000. So ring out, that means phone is ringing. So I haven't sent the calls through the script. So now I'm going to test the script. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify my application. I right now only have one application called Help Desk. I'm going to change that application to new script. Now to test, right now my extension is 1000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a second extension to my phone so that I can dial from a separate number. So second extension, let's say, is going to be 1010. So on my IP communicator, I should have two lines, 1000 and 1010. So if I dial from 1000, so let's say if I dial from 1000, it should be set to true. But if I dial from 1010, it should go to the terminate false. Just to show you an example. Alright, so let's go ahead and try this. I'm going to start my debugging. Again, I want to see as the call is going through. Wait for 30 seconds. I'm going to make the call from second line, let's say. Let's call this 2500. Okay, the call start in the script. I'm going to start.
Thank you for calling.
Wait 10 seconds. Right now I'm in a wait mode. After playing the prompt, it's collecting and it's terminating the call because I call from the second line. So there's no options to do anything else. So as you can see, it went to the terminate and then end. Alright, so now I'm going to do is test the same call. I'll wait 15 seconds this time. and I'm going to make redial from the first line. Okay, the call came into the script. Start. Thank you for calling. Is now waiting mode, delaying. After delaying, it should go to get call contact. Condition should be set to true. See, it's now ringing 2000. That means I'm able to satisfy the logic where it says caller ID is equal 1000. My caller ID is 1000. Call redirected to 2000. The phone is ring out, and you can see it's ring out to 2000. So that's kind of a small logic that we have in our basic logic to start with, and I'm going to show you more advanced stuff in the next few labs. Alright, so that would be it for this chapter, and I'll see you in the next.